Hi all, welcome to How to Get Book Reviews, online webinar presented by Writerly. I'm Kelsye Nelson, I'm CEO and co-founder of Writerly, and I'm very happy to see you all here again today. We have a few notes for you before we get going. First of all, I'm going to go over a lot of resources for book reviews. The first couple some of you may have heard from one of our other webinars, but the majority of them will be brand new to you. I'm not sharing the slides, however, this event will be recorded, so at any time you can come back to the same event page where you're watching this now and replay the broadcast, and feel free to stop and pause and go back to the slides however you wish. I'll also try to be posting as many links as I can in the comments on the event page. And we are doing Q&A during this webinar, so go ahead and use the Q&A tool to get your questions in. I'm making sure I can see your questions. Yes, there we go. And if I can't get to your question during the presentation, I'll make sure to do them after. If you are on Twitter, go ahead and live tweet all that you'd like. We're using the hashtag PubCamp14, and we have Archana will be tweeting from our Writerly Tweets handle, and then we have our host is Yishun from the Northwest Institute of Literary Arts. She's tweeting from the Whidbey MFA Twitter handle, and I'm just going to go over and start my screen share to start sharing my goodies with you all. If those of you that are interested in the Northwest Institute of Literary Arts should know that they have a writing retreat coming up that the deadline to apply is June 15th, and they have a really amazing faculty, and it's on Whidbey Island near Seattle. It's incredible. So those of you that are interested, make sure that you get out and apply to the Whidbey Writers residency. Most of you know me. I'm Kelsye. There's my dog. There's some of my books. I'm with Writerly, which is where you can go and hire editors or marketing help or whoever it is that you need to help you with your books. We work with independent authors and publishers, and we really believe in helping you achieve your publishing goals, which is why we do these webinars. And I have some general tips for you. We are going to go over a lot of different resources, and I don't know every single detail on every single one, and there are a lot of details. So whenever you go to submit your book for reviews, or you're joining a social group and you want to do posts, make sure that wherever you go, you're reading the guidelines carefully. Some places only accept paperback books. Some places only accept digital. Some places want payments, some don't. There's many, many rules. The other general tip I have for you is to be patient and polite. When you are asking someone to read your book, even if it's paid, then you're asking them to invest hours of their time and then their brain to write out a thoughtful review. This can take a very long time. I have books from friends that I really want to review that I've had for 6 weeks or more, that I will simply get to it when I get to it. Just remember that no one owes you a review, so be very patient and be very polite to your reviewers. And the other thing is, try many of these things. I'm going to give you a number of different sites, a number of different resources, a number of different tactics. Don't do just one and then sit back. Your odds for reviews are much better the more places that you submit, obviously. And also, become a reviewer. If you would like to know what the process is like on the other side, sign up at one of these places that I'll show you and actually read and review some books. See what it's like. If your friends are putting out books, read their books and review them as well. And my first big caution is that it's risky to buy reviews, whether they're honest reviews or they're not honest reviews. So if you are going to buy any kind of review, be it editorial or otherwise, make sure that whoever is reviewing gives disclosure, meaning they can say, I was paid for this, I was paid to give my review. Or if you're giving out free books, that's actually a form of payment as well. So you might want to prompt people that are reviewing your book and you've given them a copy to add a line at the very end that says, I was given a free copy of this book in exchange for my honest review. The other thing is there are a lot of sites out there, which I will not show you during this presentation, where you can actually pay a third party a bunch of money and they will go out and they will buy copies of your book and they will write reviews, often 5-star reviews. And it works. You'll get a lot of reviews and your book sales will go up. And it might backfire really bad. John Locke, who wrote that, the ebook about selling ebooks, there was a lot of backlash when it came out that he had bought 300 reviews, and those people that through a company where they actually bought the books from Amazon and then left a review. And you might guess that people were pretty upset when they learned that, because his book was all about secrets to ebook marketing, and he didn't mention the fact that he'd actually purchased a lot of those purchases. The same thing happened with the founder of the Mars Church, who just came out with a book, and they paid a PR company who bought many copies and then reviewed it. And oftentimes these were authors not meaning to do anything wrong. They were just trying to get some visibility and some reviews. But I would if you're going to do anything like that, just know that it can backfire really bad. And there's a bunch of other things that you don't really ever need to buy a review, ever. But let's keep going. Before I get into beta reviewers, I'm going to quickly look at the questions, see if there's anything that we can start off with. Question about qualification of reviewers, we'll get to this one. Goodreads is another one. Okay. Miranda's question is, when is the appropriate time to find book reviewers, prior or post-publication? The two sources that I have for you are definitely prior to publication. It's hard to publish your book and not have any reviewers lined up. Now, if you are an independent publisher and you're posting your books on Amazon, you can't do pre-sales, and it's a little bit harder. Well, very few people can do pre-sales or pre-orders on Amazon, and it's a little harder to get those early reviews up there. I do believe Smashwords allows for pre-orders, and then those people that pre-order it can also leave a review, but I'm not entirely certain on that one. So before you publish, early out, as soon as you have a draft of the manuscript, I start soliciting for beta readers or review readers. And you want to give them at least a month if you can, so that they have time to read the book. And here is how I do that. I use Google Drive, which is a way that you can create documents and forms online. It's free, you can share. And right now this is for a Seattle mystery author, Rachel Buki, who has a new mystery novel coming out. So on her folder here we've got Review Reader Management, and all we did was we created a form, and this is what the form looks like, where we can put in text up here, we can name our form, and we can put in the information that we need. And when I'm soliciting review readers, we're very clear about what's expected. So they promise to read the book by a certain time and then write launched. I do say it's an honest review. I say 5 stars would be fabulous, but you're not expected to give a positive review, so that they know that actually we really do want the positive review, but they can do whatever it is that they wish. And then we can pick a theme, and Google Forms will allow us to decorate it however we, using their remarkably tacky themes. And then we can click on View Live Form, and this is what it looks like. And all we're asking people is for their name and their email, and then would you like to be added to Rachel's, the author's, mailing list. Google automatically collects all of this into a spreadsheet for you, so it's really easy to track who is signed up, and you can add another column to track if you've sent them a copy of the book yet, if you've followed up. If they're going to be added to your mailing list, you can go ahead and copy their emails over. But this is the form that then we can just copy the URL, share it on our Facebook, share it on our Twitter, share it on a Kindle board, share it all around. Many different places where you can share this. And these are people doing it for free. One of the things that when I work with authors that I suggest that they do is that they do promise them, well, for one, an early copy, and two, a mention on the acknowledgement page. And this is easy to do on the ebook format. Sometimes it's hard to do if it's a print book to get the interior files updated in time. But if you're putting out an ebook, it's really easy to add another page that says special thanks to my review readers, and you can name them. So that's the first step. And I've got a great question here from Elizabeth. How do you define beta reader? So I think of two kinds of readers, early readers. One is a beta reader, and one is a review reader. The beta readers are those that are getting an early draft of the manuscript, hopefully done, hopefully it's been edited, but they are the ones. A beta version is like a pre-version. It's not the final version of your book. And beta readers, not only do they read it and possibly review it later, but they might have feedback for you or responses that you would actually like to implement and make changes to your manuscript based off of their input. A review reader is generally a little later on. You can get them the manuscript, and there might still be some final corrections. And when you send them an e-file or whatever you're sending them to review the book, you can even say, please don't review based off of any formatting or grammatical errors you see. This is not the final proofed copy. But they should be getting a copy that's pretty proofed. And at that point, you don't really want more input. You're not going to change the manuscript. If someone says the plot is weak at this point, it's just going to stay weak at that point. You're kind of at the end of the process there. Celia asks, who do you send the request form to if you don't have a mailing list? Well, so say you've got your form created, and yeah, you can send it out to your mailing list if you want. Sometimes people don't want to offer their mailing list to be review readers because they want to save that email for when they're selling the book. This is giving it away for free. But if you don't have a mailing list, that's fine. Go ahead and start posting it on all the different networks. And soon I'll show you some Facebook groups and some Google groups that you can post to. Share it on your Twitter, email it to friends and family. And I like, even if it's someone that you know and they're say, yeah, I'll review your book, great, still fill out the form. And the reason is it's much easier for you to track, especially if you get 20, 30, 40, 50 review readers. It's too hard to keep track of them in email. You'll want them all on one spreadsheet and just keep things organized for you. And I'm just checking the other questions. Sanchka wants to know, is the review process discussed today the same or different from the advanced review copies I've seen announced on Facebook and Goodreads? This is very similar. ARCs. Publishers send out ARCs. And an ARC generally is printed, but it doesn't have to be. And there's more of an expense sending out printed copies, which is a good a good way to do it, if your book is already out or if you have a print version ahead of time, and you want a high conversion rate on your reviews, people are more likely to leave the review if they've gotten something tangible that they've held in their hands. But it can also be digital as well. And I like doing digital for early review readers because the expense of printing those early copies just aren't worth it to me, especially if the book is going to be changed at all or updated at all. And yes, you can promote this forum even on Goodreads, and you can go to one of the forums there and say, I'm looking for early review readers, or if you have a blog on Goodreads, you can post it on your blog. Pretty much anywhere you want, you can keep posting this list. One other thing about review readers, collecting them is one thing. The next step is you actually have to reach out to all of those people and give them a copy of your book. I like doing this individually. I don't do bulk mail. If they're going to spend the time reading a book, then we can spend the time writing their name. The rest of the email might be copy and pasted, but you can write their name at the top and perhaps a customized line if you know them. So now the books are out. When your book is published, you send messages again to all the people on your review reader list, and you say, the book is out, hooray! And you thank them for reading the book, and you provide the links that they need to go and leave the review on Amazon. If you already have your Goodreads, if it's already up on Goodreads, you can also give them the link to Goodreads. And then you can also give them some social posts. The nice thing about your review readers is that they're part of your process, and they feel like they're part of your author journey, and they are part of your journey. And they're more likely to share and promote your book. They're your champions, your advocates. So the tip here is to make it as easy as possible for them. So when you send out the message with the links and you ask them to share your book on social media, write out a couple sample posts that they can just copy and paste. Again, keep it easy as possible. Lower or remove any obstacles to reviewing or sharing your book that you can do. I'm going to keep going. The other way is to get those early, before publication, review readers is from your network and your friends and family. And treat them the same as you would your strangers. Be very respectful. Remember, even your family and your friends, no one owes you a review. And also know that it can take them a very long time to actually get to your book and do the reading. Make it as easy as possible. Give them the links. Give them the copy and paste posts. And another thing to know is that if they are your immediate family, they might not be able to leave a review. Even some of your friends might, in their best efforts, go to Amazon to leave a review, and somehow Amazon sees a connection between them and you and won't let the review go live. The Amazon algorithms for determining if a review is quality or honest or meets their policies are very mysterious to me, and they seem to be in flux. I know that there have been people that I have written lengthy, in-depth reviews for that when I went to go press the submit button, Amazon would never let me submit, and they never gave me a reason. It was always, we're sorry, this does not apply with our policies. And for the life of me, I couldn't find out. My husband has never been able to review any of my books, which probably wouldn't be a very honest review. And I don't know how Amazon knows, possibly because we come from the same mailing address. I have no idea. But they've never allowed his reviews to be posted. So don't rely on your family for those first reviews. They very likely won't be able to give them. There's a question over here about what drives sales on Amazon. What brings your book higher in Amazon listings, reviews, or sales, or both together? And again, Amazon doesn't publish their algorithm, so I couldn't tell you exactly. They have different ways to sort. There's sales, definitely, and then there's popularity. I have no idea what their mathematical equation is for popularity. I do know that sales seem to go better when there's more reviews. And particularly if you are an indie author and you're putting a book out there and you don't have a lot of credibility of a publisher backing you up or a large publishing history or backlist, those reviews can really help establish your credibility and your authority as an author and help the readers make the decision to buy your book. The other thing that's really nice when you get these reviews is you can share them on your networks. You can say, oh, I just got this lovely review on Amazon, and you can tweet the link to it, or you can put it on your Facebook. And again, it's just a nice way to remind people about your book, promote your book, and send people back over. So now let's look at some of these others. So there's paid editorial reviews. And these are a little bit different than just straight up paid reader reviews. They actually appear in a different place on the Amazon page. In fact, let me go really quick to, oh, I always use Guy's book. Author, publisher. Sorry, one second, I meant to have this loaded. I'm going to Guy Kawasaki's author, publisher, entrepreneur book about publishing because it's fantastic, and he's an advisor for Writerly and has helped us a lot. So an editorial review on Amazon doesn't go down here in customer reviews. These are the customer reviews. An editorial review goes here. And here, oh, here he's got Kindle Direct Publishing is in here. But if he had gotten a Kirkus review, it would be inputted here. If the New York Times published a review, it would be here. So an editorial review, a paid editorial review, is a little bit different, and there's a few places to get them. Kirkus is the most well-known. There's also Forward, San Francisco Book Review, Pacific Book Review. Even on Writerly, we have it, and here it is. And again, this is not an individual reader. It's clear from this circumstance that this is a paid review and that it's done by a professional. And you're given the review, and then it can be posted on that section, or people post them on their website. They post them on Goodreads. They post them all over. I will say this option is pricey, and they are honest reviews as well. So even if you pay for one, you may or may not get a positive review. Most of these places, Writerly certainly does, I know Kirkus does, allow you to kill the review before it goes live. So you can't change it. Once they write it, you're given a preview of it, and then you choose if you want them to publish it or not. If it's positive enough, you can say yes, green light, and if for some reason you don't like the review, you say no, and they won't ever publish it. It'll never see the light of day. You don't get your money back either, but then you won't have that review out there that you think might be damaging. I'm just checking a few more of these questions to make sure if there's any right here. Actually, I'm going to hop on Elizabeth's question. This says, what goes into querying a reviewer? I don't want to put too much or too little information. I've emailed several reviewers but haven't gotten any responses yet. Do I craft the query like a pitch? Well, if you are looking for your early readers, you'll note that on this form that I shared, we talked about the book. This section right here describes the book plot because I have to entice people to sign up to be a review reader. I like putting the back cover copy on there. It's assumed that it tells the story in a way that's interesting and compelling, but it's not advertising. It's not a review, so people can get an idea of if they want to read this book or not. Reviewers are overwhelmed with requests to review books, and if you can't entice them to read your book and stand out above the crowd, they could very easily let it go. If you're writing it like a query letter, I think that you will stand above and beyond some of the rest. It's a good way to get attention. It's harder. It's not as straightforward, but I think that, yeah, if you pitch the book to your reviewers, you're definitely more likely to get some more reviews. And again, I wouldn't worry about not receiving any responses. it can take weeks for people to get back to these. It's nice if they send a message that says, we received your request, our turnaround time is 3 to 4 weeks or whatever it is. But don't be too discouraged if you haven't heard back yet, and keep going. Definitely keep going on to more. So I'm hopping back over here. The other thing is that a paid editorial review doesn't directly increase your sales. It can help people make the decision when they're already on your book page to make the decision to actually click buy and buy the book. But unless people know about the book or are on the book page, it's not going to drive any traffic. So some of these pricier options, if you are a very limited budget, you might want to instead spend it on some direct advertising. But this can help you, and if you're trying to establish credibility, this could be a really good way. Here's one, a paid version that is remarkably effective. And from what I've heard from the folks using NetGalley, you know, some people have, I have like 30, 40 reviews on my books, and then you go and you look at the people that have 200, 300, 400, and I've asked, how the heck did you get that many reviews? And the common answer has been NetGalley. NetGalley is pricey. Expect to spend a couple $100 at least. And what they do in exchange for your few $100s is they do a listing where you give them your digital book and describe it, and they send it out through various channels you get to choose with your marketing plan to review readers. And they do have tons of review readers. It's a really good way to get a lot of reviews. It seems to be very effective. If you are an indie author, you might be aware of Independent Book Publishers Association, and they have, oh, look, it's one word, sorry about that. They have a marketing program where you can get a discount. So if you are an indie and you want to try out NetGalley, go to IBPA and search for their NetGalley marketing program. And in fact, I am just going to copy and paste this directly on the event page in the comments. There you go. It'll show up there in a second. So moving on. NetGalley is one word. Sorry, that was my error. Then there are reviews that you can get. Oh, here's a question. It says, paid editorial reviews are more credible than paid reviews? Yes. I would say that they do offer a little bit more credibility than a basic review. Reader reviews are very, very powerful. An unsolicited, freely given reader review is very powerful. But those editorial reviews are pulled out for special highlight on your Amazon pages, and they're saying this comes from a source that has experience reading books and possibly editing books, or knows the market and knows the comparison universe of books. So yes, they do have a little bit more authority or credibility than a general one. I'm not quite sure what you meant by paid reviews, because editorial reviews can be paid. They can also be free. If the New York Times review of books reviews yours, you, well, hopefully didn't pay for that I know of. Hopefully that was honest journalism. I'm just scanning the questions again. Oh yes, Celia says Kirkus charges $5.75 for a review. Yes, it's very pricey. So again, if you are on limited budget, $5.75 can go a long way on some online advertising. So let's look at some of these others. These are places where the cost of the review is the cost of the book. They don't buy the book. That would be artificially inflating your sales numbers, but you send them a copy of the book. And you can, if you are independently publishing, you can order books at cost from CreateSpace or from wherever it is that you're publishing. There's always a way for the author to get discounted versions of the book that you can send off to reviews. Midwest Book Review is one I really recommend because the librarians use it. to look at upcoming books. And they do say on their website that it can take a long time to get your book reviewed, so you'll want to send it out. And again, for reader views and for the book reporter, you definitely want to go to their site and look at their deadlines, look if they have any requirements of when the book was published and what their turnaround time is. And zooming on down to the next slide. And then there's some places where the only cost to you is a digital copy, which should be generally free. And there's tons of these. And again, check their guidelines. I know that some of these have a requirement that the book is within 30 days of publication. And I'm going to show you Story Cartel. I think it's a beautiful site. It's really easy as an author to log in and create a giveaway for your book. And you can set the number, and then you can set a giveaway. So if you say that there will be a raffle, and then one of the reviewers will win a prize. And Story Cartel makes you choose one of 3 prizes, or at least they did when I did it. I have a couple cautions for you. If you are traditionally published, going through a publisher or a press, make sure you get permission before you do anything like this, or before you start spreading digital copies around. Even if you have a copy, and even if it's really easy for you just to pop it in there, you don't own the rights to your book. The publisher does, and they might be fully on board with this, but just make sure that you get their permission before you start doing this. If you're self-publishing, you can do whatever you want, but if you're going through traditional press, make sure that you check first. The other thing is that there's a downside to some of these sites where people can go and get a whole bunch of free books. And some people get a little bit book greedy, or it's free, it's free, it's free, and they download a whole bunch, which means that maybe 100 people on Story Cartel or a different site requested your book or received a copy of your book, and then maybe only 10 of them actually leave a review. The ratio, the conversion rate is really, really low. They might have put 20 new books on their Kindle that day. The other thing that I notice is that people, when the book is free, will just take it without thinking. And one downside to this, I had one of my short story collections had all 5-star reviews, and then I put my book on Story Cartel, and then I got a bunch of 3-star reviews from Story Cartel people who said, I don't like short stories, I don't like collections. This book was fine, but it's not what I like. Which, as an author, was really a really hard review to read, because it was bringing down my rating, and it wasn't because of the writing, it was because those people didn't like short stories. They simply bought it. They just simply got it because it was free, and they followed through with the review because they promised that they would. So that is one little caveat that I have there, is that you might get people that will review your book based on things like the genre or the style, which could be a little bit sad. Okay. Next slide. Oh, and there's a few. Kindle Obsessed, Kindle Book Review, Read Adept Reviews. There's a bunch, and there's a bunch more. Share them in the comments on the event page if you have more good resources. Book bloggers. We love our book bloggers. A book blogger is someone who will write a review about your book on their blog. Often they will also link. They'll put a picture of the cover, and they'll link it to whatever link that you give them, generally Amazon. And it not only, and some of them also go on Amazon and on other sites, and they post their reviews on all those other networks. These are great because not only are you building reviews, you're reaching new audience and doing some marketing at the exact same time. Yay! Book bloggers generally make their money, if they make any money at all, with their affiliate link. So they will, when they post the link on your cover to your book, and people click through to Amazon and buy it, they get 6 or 7% of that sale. So not only are you, when you're approaching book bloggers, you better have a really great looking book. It needs to have a professional cover, it needs to have good descriptions, it needs to be edited, it needs to be an entirely professional, wonderful book that is a very likelihood that if someone saw it, they would want to click through and buy it. Also, it won't help if you don't send it with any description or a good cover, because the book blogger probably isn't going to want to spend their time reading it. They would rather choose a different book that day or that week that looks well put together. And I have a few resources for you for book bloggers. One is bookbloggerdirectory.wordpress.com. And here you can look for various blogs, and they have them nicely categorized. Oh, I'm not signed in. You have to sign in order to see it. You can search. You can look at one of their categories. Look, they have nonfiction, cooking, food, and wine. So here's a great way. All of the reaching out is going to be up to you. And some of these places might not be doing reviews anymore in a big directory like this. So it could be, so definitely take the time to click through and look at the site before you spend time soliciting them. Another one I really like is the indiereview.com. Here's their little homepage. And then if you go to their indie reviewers list, as it's loading, they have a wonderful directory of book reviewers. And some of them have a blog, some of them don't, but you can search on their genre, you can search for where they post their reviews, their website, all sorts of great things. So here's another one, the indiereview.com, where you can reach out directly to individual reviewers. Here's another one for you, Night Owl Reviews, where you can add your digital book and send it out for reviews. And they also had some marketing and some paid visibility options, which are pretty good. But I liked the sites. The books on here are high quality. They have a lot. They seem to be very active. So here's another one for you to take a look at. Now, this is you doing it yourself. This is you contacting those people, each one of them, and soliciting them, sending them the books, and you managing it. You don't have to manage it all. You can pay someone to do this for you. And you can go on a blog review tour. These are really great because, for one, hopefully if you go through a reputable company, they have already vetted all the bloggers. They're sending you to blogs that have a lot of traffic and that match your genre and your book. Also, you have to organize these in advance, generally 6 to 8 weeks, but again, every company is different. And you can time them. So say you have a book launch in early July. You can organize it now, and then in early July that week, maybe there's a post every day about your book on some blog. And when you can group your marketing efforts like that, they really feed off of each other and the momentum grows. So blog review tours, and here's from Twitter. I know the cover people, and they offer a nice book blitz virtual tour. They'll help organize your reviewers. They'll help with guest posts. And there are tons of these companies, so take a look. Here's just one, closedthecover.com, that you might want to take a look at, that are very friendly on the Twitterverse. Again, really look through their guidelines, get their price lists. Some people don't work with independent authors. TLC Book Tours, which my co-founder Abigail Carter has used, are great TLC Book Tours, but they only work with traditionally published authors. So again, read their guidelines. I'm hopping over to the questions to see what I've been missing. Oh yes. Celia says loads of book bloggers can be found on Twitter, and we'll give specific details on how the review process works, and most are free, but booked a long way out. This is a common theme that we're hearing, is that you can't expect it to happen quickly. If your book is coming out next week, or if your book is already out and you want reviews now, you're going to be disappointed. So book them out as far as possible. Here's a question about the affiliate links. Does the 6 to 7% that book bloggers get come out of the author sales from the online stores? No, this doesn't impact how much you get paid. If you get paid 99 cents per book, you'll still get paid 99 cents per book. This comes out of Amazon's cut. I'm zooming on down. Oh, we have a question from Twitter. Do I think Amazon Kindle ebook offers are a good way to get reviews? Yes. So what this is, and I don't have a window up for it, is that if you let's go to Amazon. If you on Amazon make your book for free, then you can promote it, and maybe you'll get 60 downloads. If you don't promote it, maybe you'll get 60,000 downloads if you do find some good promotion channels like Book Club. And sometimes people wonder, why would I pay to promote my free day? And the reason is you want those big numbers. If you can get 10,000, 20,000, 60,000 downloads, the likelihood of some of those people coming back to review your book are pretty high, and then you can convert that back into sales. Here's one thing though: if you send out, if you do a free book deal, and your book just ends, it's up to that person to decide that they want to leave a review. So they even have to know about reviews. They have to be personally motivated to go do it. They have to get on Amazon. They have to search for your book, and then they have to type a review. You've given them a lot of work to do. So one thing I recommend is at the end of your ebook, if you can, make sure that you have a page that said, please share your review of this book on Amazon, and have a link right there. So if they're reading on a Kindle or a Nook or whatever, wherever you want them to leave that review, make sure that you have that page right after the last page of the story ends, so they turn and they don't see your about the author or your acknowledgments or anything like that. The very next thing that they see is a request for a review. And be polite and be professional about it, but definitely ask for it, especially if you're going to do a free day promotion. If you're going to do a free day promotion and you get 10,000 downloads and then you only get 4 or 5 reviews after that, it's pretty sad. Make sure that you've made it really easy. The other thing I recommend for that page right after the story ends, while we're on that page, is that if your book is a series, or even if it's not, I also like recommending and linking to the next book in the series or the next book that you've written. Even if your books have nothing to do about it, nothing to do with each other, you can say, enjoy this, check out other books by this fabulous author, and have the links. But again, the theme is to make it easy and make the request. That was one thing I meant to mention early on when we were talking about friends and family and your beta reviewers and your network. It's one thing to say, oh, my book is published, here's the link, and then just hope people will actually know that they need to go through and leave a review and click. Some people will even send you an email and say, oh, I loved your book, I read it, this is why I loved it, and then they'll never actually post a review. Well, you have to make the ask. You have to name what it is that you want them to do. So when you're posting about your book or when you're sending out these emails, don't just say, here it is. Say, please leave a review. Here's where you can leave a review. Make sure that you're naming what it is that you want done. I'm just scanning the new questions. And I will get to all of these at the end. I'm just seeing if there's any that refer to this moment right now. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So blog review tours, yay, we like them. Social media groups. So there was this question down here from Elizabeth that I think that I answered before, but I'm not sure. If you have a number of people willing to write reviews, where do you put them besides post them on Amazon and your social media sites? Oh, this is for the reviews that you've already gotten. You can add them to your book description. You can put them on your website. You can put them wherever people look at your book. You can put them on your Goodreads book description, particularly if they're well written. Even if they're, Jane Doe reader, if they're well written and you can attribute them to a name, post them wherever you'd like. So social media groups. Say you've got your form asking for early review readers, or you're doing a free giveaway day. Hop on over to some of these social media groups and post it. If you get on your Facebook and you just Google book reviews or reviewers or some of these others, you'll see a bunch of groups. Here's one called Review Seekers. So here's where authors come to get reviews. It has 9,000 members, 9,600. Probably a good place to look. Here's another one that's not loading, so we'll just move past it. And another one called Book Authors, Reviewers, and Book Lovers. This one has 17,000 members here of people that you can solicit for reviews. Again, group rules. And some groups have very specific rules. Some groups, you can only post your request on a Tuesday. Some are, posting free-for-all, post whatever you want, whenever you want. Some are just for a specific genre, and if you're not posting a book in that genre, then you could be banned or deleted or kicked out. So again, check the groups. Google Plus also has a number of great communities specifically for book reviews. I went and searched Google Plus for book reviewers, and I clicked on communities. And here's a book reviewers community of 2,700 people. Here's a book bloggers community group. So go ahead and use these places. Definitely post your books here. Questions. Okay, I'm going to actually switch over to my face, which is always funny, and answer some of these questions that we haven't gotten to yet. Hopefully. There we go. Ah, hello everybody. Okay, let me look at some of these questions that I've got. This one from Jim Sellers says, how many people offer to do reviews, some for money? How do you determine the qualifications of the reviewer? Anytime someone is soliciting you to pay them to write a review, that would be a big red flag for me. That seems a bit dishonest and probably very high risk. So if someone is coming to you and saying, I will review your book for a certain amount of money, red flag, red flag. That's probably not going to be an honest reader review or an honest customer review. And then determine the qualifications of the reviewer. What is your desired qualification for your reviewer? When my books are on Amazon, I hope that they are read by people, and my qualification for them would be that they read my book. And I don't really have any other qualifications for my reviewers. It could be anyone, because that's who's going to be buying my book. If it's an editorial review, then I would want to make sure that these are professionals. These aren't just, a bunch of people that they pulled off of Craigslist. I want to know that these are editors. These are publishers themselves. These are other well-known authors. So if I'm paying for an editorial review, I definitely want to check their qualifications and make sure these are people working in the business and not simply strangers. But other than that, a review is a review, and I think they're equal from whomever they come from. Here's one from Heidi, who says, I would like to have more reviews posted on Goodreads. What's the best way to find reviewers for my specific genre? Contact top reviewers and offer a free book, post a giveaway. So on Amazon, you can vote for reviewers, and there's top-rated reviewers, and they do a lot of reviewing. And they're great for getting a really well-written review of your book. They do a really wonderful job. There's a reason that they're top reviewers. And if you want one of them to do it, go ahead and go for it and try to contact them. However, that's one of those long shots, because people that are top reviewers have a lot of people coming at them asking for reviews. And there are some really funny blog posts about that where people can be remarkably rude to these reviewers in demanding their reviews now. If you want more reviews on Goodreads, again, it's the direct ask. Make sure that you're making it easy. If you're sending out an email or if you're posting on your social, link to Goodreads. If any people that you know have posted reviews for you on Amazon, go ahead and send them a message and say, thanks for posting this review. Do you mind posting the same review on Goodreads? So again, just keep sending people to Goodreads. Goodreads does have giveaways as well. It's hard for those giveaways to actually result in reviews, I've noticed. So you can do it, but I think that you're better off maybe posting a blog post on Goodreads, linking to where they can get your book for free and asking for reviews, than simply doing a giveaway. Because again, it's that thing where a bunch of people get books, or people sign up, they get the book later. It's very low effort to enter a Goodreads giveaway, and that low effort that they put into it is generally equal to the effort that they're willing to put into reviewing the book. Scott says, any strategies for getting reviews in local newspapers, magazines, and the traditional approach? Well, yes. If you would like editorial reviews in magazines, newspapers, it's the standard: write a query letter, write a pitch, mail it with a hard copy of your book to the reviewer of your choice. If you're clever, you found someone that has reviewed books similar to yours or that seems to like a particular genre, and you can say, I really enjoy your reviews of such and such and such. I think that you might be interested, or that your audience might be interested in this book. And if you can come up with any kind of reason that their particular audience would be particularly interested in your book, definitely highlight that. So, for example, if you're in Chicago and if you're sending a book to the Chicago newspaper, say, I'm a Chicago author and this story takes place right here in the heart of downtown Chicago. And then it's a good way to stand out from the rest and hopefully entice them a little bit more. And definitely also send them a print copy. This is where it's worth the expense to send them print. For one, a lot of journalists will never open an attachment, but also it's the fact that you're willing to put in the effort and the expense will go a long way in getting to their attention. Here's another question. I know that there are paid review websites, but is that a practice using them that's frowned upon or celebrated by publishers? And so we went through a whole bunch of different ways that reviews are paid for. You can definitely pay something to someone in order for reviews to show up, but you're not always directly paying for the reviews themselves. For example, if you're paying for a book blog tour, you're really paying for the management of that. A lot of the times the book reviewers, they don't get paid at all, except through their affiliate. That's totally fine. Again, you're spending money, but you're not actually paying for the review. Editorial reviews are different. They're generally out in the open. Publishers pay for Kirkus a lot less than indie authors, I might add. And then if you are going to pay directly someone to review your book, very risky, and yes, very frowned upon if it gets out into the light of day. So that's the hesitation that I would have for you. I would rather spend your resources in finding free reviews, free honest reviews, or getting an editorial review. Cool. Miranda says, what are some of your favorite hashtags for promoting and finding book reviews? So again, for those that don't know, a hashtag is a term on Twitter where you put a hashtag, the little pound symbol, and then a word after it, and it shows up as a search term on Twitter, and it's a great way to reach a bigger audience. Free is one that seems to be very effective. You'll get the masses and people that might not be looking for books in particular, but if you are giving away copies of your book and you add a free hashtag, you'll get a lot more. Beta reviewers, there's actually a hashtag for that, or beta readers. Reviews is another one. Books is another one. M-reading. I'll even use the Goodreads hashtag. A lot of people use Goodreads. Anywhere you can tap into a your hashtag doesn't have to be exactly about reviews, but it can be getting the attention of a community that reviews books or that reads books or that writes books. So you can use a hashtag for IndiePub if you're an indie author looking for more reviews. So many. And don't limit yourself just to review hashtags. Go ahead and just tap the communities of readers. Yes. Yishun says also lit magazines, definitely. Solicit literary magazines. When an author, this is a great question. When an author's gotten a bad review, for example, a review that has blasted the author and not the author's work, and given it a low score or rating on Amazon or Goodreads, what should the author do? This is an emotional thing to have happen, and it's not fair, and it brings down ratings, and it's a real pain on the neck for authors. And there's been a lot of news about trends on people that have some kind of personal vendetta against authors for an author for some reason, and then will get people to leave negative reviews. You know, unless someone is waging a massive campaign, if you just get one or two of these, I wouldn't worry about it. You could even respond. There on Amazon, you can respond to a review, stay very friendly, stay very professional. I would even thank them. Oh, thank you for your perspective. And then address it if there's something that you can address. And if there's not, another tactic is to simply ignore it. The good news is that one or two of these are not going to hurt you. They've even done marketing studies where they find that if a product of any kind has all 100% reviews, people are less likely to trust those reviews. But if there's mostly good reviews and one or two negative reviews, it adds credibility. It looks like it's not simply someone's paid for a whole bunch of positive reviews. And when people read these reviews, you got to give your readers some credit. If the review is, I hate this author, I don't know, they killed puppies or something, maybe the reader is going to discount that review quite a lot. And I gave that example of John Locke and his paid reviews and how that backfired. If you go to his book page, you'll see that it still has, I don't know, a 90% 5-star rating, and then a bunch of 4 stars, a couple trickling down, and only a few 1-star reviews. And one of those 1-star reviews calls him out on paying for the positive reviews. And something like 1,000 people have liked that review, which does make it appear. But that one negative review is still competing against the 90% or whatever it is 5-star reviews, and his book is still selling. So I wouldn't worry too hard about a few. Ignore them. Just ignore them. And if you do respond very professionally, and never any personal attacks or any personal comments. Helen asks, are you sure Amazon allows the reviews to be included in the book description? I'm under the impression they don't. I would have to confirm this, but I know that you can put your blurbs. If someone else writes if a famous author writes a blurb about your book, you can put it in your book description. I haven't had any removed. I haven't heard any policy that they don't allow you to post a review in their book description, but just because I haven't heard it doesn't mean that it's not true. So based off of Helen's, I will do a search on that later. But a couple reviews or a book blurb seems to be fine. I see a lot of big name authors do it, but again, the rules aren't always the same on Amazon for big name authors and indie authors. Celia again. I began writing book reviews years ago. Now she gets about 20 requests a day. Once I post a review to Goodreads or Amazon and it's within their genre, I request a review of my books in return, which I think is very generous of her. And notice that she says she requests a review of her book in return. Again, no one owes you a review. You can't expect it. And if you're trading reviews, if you're straight up, I will review yours, if you will review mine, again, some people really frown on that process because it's not so much an honest review. So I like Celia's approach. She requests a review. She makes sure that she gets hers up first. She's really being a good author citizen here. And again, she gets 20 requests per day. That's insane. So when someone doesn't respond to you, don't take it personally. They could just be completely overwhelmed. And I'm wrapping up, so if you have any final questions, get them in now. Here we go. Last question that I see is from Elizabeth. Do you have any tips specific to a small book where the art is as significant as the text? Oh, this sounds like something that you really need to send out in print or as a PDF, as an ebook perhaps. The integrity of the book is not going to stay intact, and you might get a review that doesn't quite accurately reflect what you have. I'm going to skip over to Elizabeth, to Jimmy. I have 3 reviews in one of my book blurbs on Amazon. So Jimmy was able to post a review. I don't know if that's simply they haven't noticed or not, but there's another author that has reviews in their blurbs. I'm going to switch over to screen share a couple last things with you, and then we will sign off. Again, this is recorded. You can always watch it later. We have another webinar the same time next week, which is on social media promotion. So if you're interested in social media, selling your books on social media, tune in again. Same place, same time. The other thing is that Writerly is giving away $100 credits towards editing services, and I'm going to post this link on our share page again. And the reason I bring this up is because it expires on May 31st. So if you need help with editing and you want $100 off, go ahead and use this. And as always, you can reach out to me on Twitter, or if you have a specific question, feel free to email Writerly. We have a great team, and one of us will most certainly get back to you with an answer. And if you need any help publishing, come on over to Writerly. We can help you find editors, marketers, or whatever it is that you're looking for. Good luck with your books, and I hope to see you next week.